know I did a bit of damage on the weekend.
To your left, yeah, there's rocks there.
Yeah.
Sitting.
I know when I was washing it, there was at least this bit of damage. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, you like that one? You like that one? I'm pretty sure I pushed that right onto the cross member. There's no gap on that anymore. The other thing I noticed, I hit this front corner here too, all the way up here. I caved this in, but this is only plastic. Bent that enough to make this little lip hang down. If I'd gone backwards, I might have ripped that one off nice and clean.
Well, we'll run into this same issue where it's like, even though this area is all covered, if there's no backing supporting that, then you're just going to end up with this. I'm keen to see how easily this front plate comes off when it's that badly deformed.
Can't even get this one off. It's got fibres and stuff in it. It doesn't want to come back. That didn't last too long, did it? Bit of clearance up to there, so wasn't in too much danger, but still. Yeah, we were talking about potentially maybe some protection for these arms.
Yeah, well,
potentially.
Was that you there?
Well, yeah, that was me. That's awfully close to that too, so I could imagine if I can do that on my first trip off-road. I was being super gentle. I was trying to baby it.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
I'll get it back. There you go. Fixed it. Yeah, there's a little bit of a corner there that's pushed in, but I must have hung up on a little rock, so I've folded that over as well.
I have to admit, it's not as bad as I was expecting.
It sounded really horrible.
It sounded awful.
I was going to say, I don't think I've hit so much stuff four-wheel driving in a long time, but it is pretty low. They look worse when you take them off the car, eh? It's pretty sad looking. Anyway, I know. I hope you're not going to judge my driving skills based on that.
Yep, that's it.
I promise you I was trying to be as careful as I can.
Alright, so the UVP. I still need to figure out a way, like,
Sort of brace that up a bit more.
yeah, that's where you smashed it.
A little dent in there still there.
And it's not that little. I've got that line sort of at horizontal. I'll probably extend this face further out. What I run into is like these control arm, the front control arm mounts there. You can sort of see
Yeah, they've got a bit of material there, eh? See what you can come up with, because a bit of extra bracing there is going to be really helpful.
usually we have this section of the W aligned with that face, but instead I've gone for this
So
one.
you dropped it down a bit.
Yeah, and mostly that was because if we want recessed bolt heads on the back here,
Of course, you're going to have to
Yeah.
have that drop down anyway. I'd rather sort of scrape along a bash plate than
Then-
hang yourself up on a bolt head.
yeah, and then
Yep.
destroy the bolts and never be able to get them off right.
Because they're on the centre line of that tyre, most of the
Oh, yeah.
time you're lifting up anyway. I like how you got the nice approach angles on the front
Yeah.
edge of the sump there.
Early days. So the other thing though is going to be the trans guard. So the transmission on the 250,
Yeah, that crossmember's like really far back.
yeah, it's massive. So I don't know
it's
if we need
long.
to run some bracing up the middle of it.
Actually, you're going
That's
to be
gonna be the-
resting the vehicle on the middle of that thing.
Yeah,
The other one was sump drainage.
it is right
Yeah, it's all the way
there.
up there and on an angle.
So like,
Yeah, it makes it hard because
Yeah.
depending on the flow of the oil coming out from the beginning to the end,
you can sort of see how big
yeah,
the factory one is.
that's just going to weaken it. Yeah, it's a balance of making sure that's still functional and simple. You could have a huge hole there and it wouldn't matter.
Is the big hole going to be a hang-up point though? 102 TY. So this is 300 series stuff. UVP. So that guy notches in to him. Weld. And that guy goes there. And that's your front plate. So that's your sump plate. And the 300 series has the diff mounts in this weird funky spot, and the holes, like most cars have like a lot of captive bolt holes on the bottom that you can choose from, but the 300 has about 4. So it was real, like, we had to get creative with how we use double up on holes and stuff. So those two sit, oh, look at that. Nice, so that's how they go together. There's these big holes here for drainage. The factory diff mount, one of them sits about here, and the other one, this weird funky cutout that's in there that looks like it's there for no reason, is to clear the factory diff arm. This central guy sits a little bit higher than the other two. When he's down in there, and these guys sit on top of them, that this surface, and that surface are all level, which, yeah, no, they'll be good. They'll be nice and level. Sticking with the signature W shape because it's nice and strong. So that'll get welded in there. And we'll put some little bolt, like some captive nuts on the back of there. These little W-shaped bits are to clear some the factory transmission guard. Also, you can sort of see how like these two bolts, one, they're not in line horizontally and they're not symmetrical. So having this taper and mounting the bolt holes there allowed us to keep this visually looking symmetrical and nice, whilst tackling the issue of your bolt holes being in funky spots. And then, lucky last is the transmission guard. Oh, he's beefy too. So I want to test these on a GR, because the GR's got the KDSS up the front. KDSS sway bar sits pretty much, if our measurements are correct, when the KDSS sway bar is at full droop, it should sit nicely in there and not touch anything. So we'll have to flex out a 300 and check that, but that's why it's got that funky arrowhead sort of shape. We got to do the proper layout of all of this stuff. Oh yeah, that looks like it'll go together nice. So that's sort of, when you look underneath your 300 series, roughly what you're going to see.
Ben's ridiculous.
Oh, you did pretty tame, I thought.
Check that all my bits are here. Nice. Essentially, what we're working with is a replacement for everyone's favorite box, because this thing sucks. Initially, I tried to be a defender of the box and be like, oh, you know, the box isn't that bad. But the more you use it, it really is that bad. We thought we'd try and offer something a bit different for people who need 7 seats but don't want the box. So a stronger box that you can actually put weight on top of, and you can access what's inside while you've got stuff on top of it. Because the second you load up the boot, you've got to unload it fully to get into this thing. And like it just falls apart. So we've been investigating something we can do that is a little bit more user-friendly but maintains 7 seats. We'll see how it goes. It's pretty conceptual, but I've got a good feeling. So there's a lot of compromises in this box. There's a lot aesthetically and functionally that I wouldn't want to go to production with it as is. Like, it's just, we basically did this quick and dirty to put it in the car, feel it out, and go from there. Like, it's all well and good for Tin and I to sit on the computer and talk about this and that and da-da-da-da-da, but nothing compares to actually getting it for real. So even though this isn't perfect, it's less of a product that we want to make and sell and more of a tool for generating ideas. I'll have to unbolt these back 4. That will sit in there like that. On the back, it's got 4 big solid bolt holes, all sweet. On the front, it's only got these 2 little guys, which is probably not going to be enough. So there's this little like double fold on here. And the idea is the actual weight rests on, like the weight is supported by the fold, not by this little guy. All that is doing is stopping it moving around like sideways, whereas that stops the up and down. But that gives us our new base to work off. Oh, nice. That goes back in over the top. The next step is actually assembling, sorry, I'm coming this way, is assembling the box. These two are mirror images of one another. And I forget if they go like that.
See that coming.
Or like that. I think I made them go like that so that the bolts would be like, or did I? Yeah, we'll put them in like this and see what we reckon. We're trying to have a think of the way, so we got these dividers I'll set up in a minute, which we mostly have them in there for strength because we want, like the factory box, you put any weight on it, it just collapses. So we want people to be able to put a good amount of weight on top of this and not have it fall apart on them. But at the same time, if we add too many dividers in, it limits the amount of space you can, like the size of whatever you're putting into it. If the bolt holes are way down low, you've got a lot of leverage up on the top. So we made these little guys that sort of go onto those two there. Less leverage, less likelihood of breaking. This guy here. What is stopping that going in? That is. Oh, that's the first time seeing it in proper. That's not bad. I'm a bit scared to press the button. Surely if it detects something in the way, it'll stop, right?
Surely.
Surely. Company car. I haven't fully put this trim back in place because you can see it's touching there. Like I need to change the size of it. But it's pretty good. Like I was sort of, as I was putting it together, I had my doubts, but then the second you're like, it needs refinement, obviously. Like there's still a lot of work to make it a proper product that someone would want to buy.
But for a minimum viable prototype, just to get your head around.
Yeah, just to play with the idea of it. That ain't going nowhere. It's good. If you need all 7 seats, because you've got dogs or kids or whatever, and you put anything on top of the factory box and you can't get inside of it, that's so painful. Whereas here, you could have this whole top section full. Like obviously it's not a massive space, but if you need the seats, you need the seats. And then this is all accessible and usable. But like, so you can keep those factory side sections. It comes down, tapers in, so it sits inside them.
And then I wonder what Toyota charges for that.
For the box?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I reckon it'd be $700 maybe.
Yeah, true. When it snaps.
Yeah.
Not if, when.
When.
Yeah, I like the direction that it's got. As it is right now in front of us, it needs a lot of work, but the vision is there.
Yeah.
So this surface here comes up to really maximize hugging the seats as much as possible. That guy's just vertical, and this guy's on a bit of an angle so that when your seats are folded up, you can have your seats back like that. But the trade-off is then you end up with this little gap here. But I don't think the gap is too big, and I don't think, like there is a risk that stuff might fall in there, but if you were to have a product like this, what would you want to store in there? Would it be little things? Would you rather, I mean, I think everyone would rather some sort of fancy drawer, but yeah, I don't know. Just what would you use that space for?
It's solid. It's better than the other one. Doesn't come out. So this is a bit of an idea or a concept around retaining the rear seats, just making the space a bit more functional. Definitely does that. Storage compartment so that if you have stuff on the top, you can still use this space, and also the fact that this is much more rigid. This is the test, isn't it? Okay. Being silver, it sort of sticks out like a bit of a sore thumb, but powder coated black might disappear. Initially we were going to have just one divider in the middle, and I was worried that it wasn't going to be sort of strong enough, but yeah, that held my butt up, not a problem. Yeah, yeah. Well, we did talk about doing some sort of a drawer or some sort of a box that can come out so you can fill them up a bit more. Had some ideas around that too. It's a funny space because it's sort of got a bit of an angle on the back. These might be a bit of a problem, sort of sticking out, but like we can weld it or countersunk. We'll have a think about what we can do there and whether or not we put some sort of a surface on here too. It's definitely better than the box that was there. I'm probably happy to run it to sort of see what it's like, and then we can sort of come up with any other concepts or ideas. I'll send it away to get powder coated. And just live with it for a bit and see what we come up with. So I've been a really good boy and I haven't been sort of looking around to see what it is. I really don't know what you got up to. So is it the back?
Just see if you can spot it. Just, you know. You can probably see it.
Oh, I see a little bit of a shadow in there. I thought it might be something here, but should I just open up from here?
You can open up either or.
Ah, I see. Okay. I was wondering what you're going to do there to stop stuff from falling out.
Yeah.
Actually, don't mind that.
The position's a little off because I've just double-sided taped it. I haven't drilled it. And once that double-sided tape stuck, I couldn't adjust it.
I like this bottom edge actually. That sort of finishes that off nicely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
how is it when you open the door? Does the stuff
tell me.
fall out?
This is where I think it really comes into its own.
So you got this little fold here to stop stuff falling out. I like it. Only for squishy stuff.
Yeah. But you can access
I need to
it.
bring my ponchos along. Oh, actually, we got a spot for the ponchos. I'm taking this vehicle, aren't I? Yeah.
I stole the ponchos out of there.
Yeah, that's true. We always forget where we leave them. Is it an FJ or is it in the 250?
But I think the real cool thing will be once you start.
Like, putting switch panels and stuff.
Well, if you had a rock light in the middle there,
cool.
and you had the switch panel there, like I purposely made that angle the same.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Okay.
Like that, I reckon will be very cool.
Yeah. Nice. So what we're going to do, we're just going to screw it in place.
Yep.
That's just held by that double-sided tape.
Yeah, it's strong as, hey.
A few little things to just touch up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the K works there too.
Yep. Did you see the K on the other side as well?
Yeah, I saw that one. I definitely saw that one. Nice.
It's less of a rear door basket and more of a smaller shelf.
Shelf. It's an overhead shelf, isn't it? Yeah. That definitely works.
The box thing sits pretty much with that line.
Yep. Yeah, I like it.
It'd be cool with the Velcro strap, like the Velcro bags on there too.
Yeah. We haven't tried. Well, they should hold. As long as you don't go crazy and start putting like, fishing sinkers and stuff in there.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was just trying to think of something heavy.
My stone collection.
So,
And yeah, I put a little lip, like, because when the vehicle's in motion...
I like that lip because it gives it that stiffness. Because you know how we
had to have
the
that
suction cups. But in this case, you got the mounts on there.
And you couldn't do the suction cup with the moving...
No, it almost acts like a little clip to hold it in there as well, you know. I'm sort of thinking, is this applicable for all the other tailgate vehicles?
100%, yeah. Lay wanted one for the 200. He saw it and he said, when are you doing one for the 200? 200, Y62, 300 for tuner.
That's at 45, you reckon?
Oh, I don't remember. That looks like 30. Yeah, rock light in the middle. That guy there. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
How to move forward? What choices, what decisions do we need to make? What else do we need to consider that people are going to do or have comments about?
People are going to worry that stuff is going to fall out of it. But I think once you see it and you know that like you're never in motion, the car's not moving when the boot's open.
Yeah.
Just above the middle headrest.
Yeah,
so like,
that rear headrest is about the same level.
Yeah.
Do we have another one of these?
Yeah, we got like 4 of them. Do you want to chop that off?
Do you want to chop one off and see what it looks like?
I'll grab it.
I like that piece.
Yeah, it does look nice.
I feel like it's
feel-
going
'cause-
to
yeah.
look unfinished without it.
True.
You sound so sad.
True.
So that's how it looks. It looks funky outside. It looks like a big crab.
I think it looks like a big mustache.
Nice. You could enter one of those competitions.
Or like this, like this.
That's better. So you reckon we got enough prototypes we could chop that off and just feel it out?
Yeah. I think it's worth
Do you
the
want to
exercise. Yeah.
do we for the weekend trip chop one off, leave the other end, and sort of?
I'll chop one side off.
Yeah,
only.
yeah. Then we can compare them.
No, I think we chop it off and see what we feel, and then we put the version in that we like. Let's do that. Let's cut that off, see what it looks like, what it feels like, because this will help us make decisions around other vehicles, whether we put it in or not.
Chop that off. I'll get this one out and see what we reckon. If I can get this one out, I might have to get the heat gun on it. Oh yeah,
You got it.
Come out. Don't you think that looks like a crab or a scorpion?
It looks like a mean set of eyebrows.
It's gone from a mustache to eyebrows.
So I suppose you're not filming, are you?
I am. I was trying to get you on the
on the sly.
Where are we going?
Gari. Is that how you're supposed to say it? We've got a trip to Gari. Good opportunity to install some of the things we've been working on, namely the air compressor, and with the air compressor, the fuse bracket, so we can wire it all up, and also the transmission cooler. We've got a good concept and a prototype, and I want to get that in for our 5-hour drive up to Gari and also driving on the beach. The other thing that we got was a brushless air compressor. Just seeing if the brushless one will fit, and it will, with a few little sort of, not modifications, but variations to the brushed version. So I'll show you both, but we're going to put the brushless one in. So we've chosen this position next to the battery because it's going to be easy to wire up, and although it looks pretty small, it actually fits. So we really like this position. Really good for onboard air and gives you sort of space for other stuff within the engine bay. This is our first prototype with the brushed air compressor on there. Now we've got a brushless air compressor. Let's have a look at these side by side. A little bit different. So we'll get that installed and we'll put this one in the 250.
You know the Devil Wears Prado where Anne Hathaway walks in and she's holding up two turquoise belts and she goes, I can't choose, they're so different, and they're like identical.
It's a tough call. They're so different. Something funny?
They do look pretty similar, don't they? We're making sure that this bracket will work for both the brushed and brushless. Some people might want to just transfer their old air setup from their other vehicle to the new 250. One of the new features on the brushless air compressor is this quick release bracket. I've got this already installed and sort of cam it and it holds it in place. So the mounting system's a little bit different to the old one, so you can index it and rotate it around, whereas the old one you can actually get infinite sort of positioning and you can still slide it backwards and forwards. Interesting system. There you go, locked in place. I've put the air fitting on. I'm just going to have the air fitting on the air compressor because I'm not looking to put the outlet sort of anywhere remote. Most of the time when I air up, I'll just lift the bonnet, keep the engine running, hook up. I don't want to do any welding, so I might actually unhook all this. This is the positive terminal on the battery and it's getting a bit close. Bolt onto the side there as well as down on the bottom, so really secure. And my thoughts here is to have our air outlet sort of sitting on an angle and presenting sort of forward. That's the pressure relief valve, and we've got a little switch on the back here. This is just a mocked up one because originally we were going to put the switch on this side, but there's just no space. And we should have enough room for the terminal and the cover back on here. So it's tight, but it's very tidy. And we've got a fuse bracket that goes over the top, and I might show you that too. I ripped a hole in the door trim on the driver's side.
On that one?
With my belt.
When?
When I was trying to climb in, because it was parked a bit close to the hoist.
When?
Last week. It's not too bad. I know. So this fuse bracket sits over the top of the battery here and mounts down there. And what we've done, we've actually moved all the fuses out because I didn't want to tuck it right underneath there and not be able to get access to the fuses. So that'll sit there. We'll wire up the air compressor quite easily. And these are a bus bar type of fuse holders. Just makes it a lot tidier to wire everything up. This is a wiring loom for the compressor. It's an interesting one actually. They haven't got any relays, so I believe all the switching happens within the air compressor. It's all got the provisions for the lockers, but I'll have to get all that into there and tidied up. Get that all in there and tidied up. Wish I could just do that and go. Done. Yep, that should close, no worries. We've got some prototype transmission cooler brackets so that we can put a transmission cooler in the front of this 250. Now on the earlier Prados, transmission temperatures were an issue, and on our first trip with the 250, we monitored the transmission temperatures and we thought it warranted further investigation. So we're going to put this transmission cooler in, just slots in from the top here, and it's just going to sit in this cavity behind the radiator sort of cross members and in front of the aircon condenser. And we'll have the wires or the hoses coming across and plumbing into the factory transmission cooler, which is sitting on the side of the radiator. So transcooler time, 2 brackets. We actually can't put the transcooler on the brackets. We'll put the brackets in first. And the other thing I wanted to do was make sure you could install this without having to take the whole bumper or the front grille off, because I had a heap of fun taking this grille off and I don't want to do it again. Probably would have been easier to take the whole bumper off. There's a handy little gap here to slide it down. Still getting pretty much full airflow. Then I'll go get some black hardware, so I think that'll make it look a little bit nicer. 4 M6s. Yeah, I think the nutserts are a good idea. I'd hate to get my hands behind there, try to hold a nut in place. Definitely dropping those. There you go. We've got our transmission cooler sitting that way, hoses coming out the side, and it just pops out the top. There's a nice little sort of area here, and we can actually attach it to this plastic, I don't know what it is, it's plastic support. So, and that comes around to here. Now on the 250, we've decided to do something a little bit different to what we normally would do. So instead of replacing that old hose, we're just going to splice into this. And the TrueCool kits come with a fitting that we just screw together. And we'll just put that into the top of that, put that hose into there, and the other hose just goes and connects back into the radiator. So that's really easy and quick and reversible. So we're going to do that, and there's actually plenty of space to work here, so I'm not going to skin my knuckles and so forth. So we'll tighten everything up and then we'll run these hoses and connect it all up. And that's done. That's a quick install. One of the reasons why I want to splice into the top here, because it's relatively easy, and also I can actually disconnect the cooler from the original cooler quite easily and just splice them back and close them off. But I thought to myself, what if I can put a few valves and fittings in there so that I can actually just close it off and make the fluid go through the transcooler, or open it up and just make it run through the normal transmission cooler. So I've got a few bits and pieces there, and I think I'll be able to make something work. Anything else? It's really handy, I can wipe my hands. Believe it or not, I found all the fittings I needed at Bunnings of all places. That'll go into the top here. It's almost like that pipe game, you know, when you're redirecting all the flow. And that goes that way, and that goes that way. There you go. So this will go into the radiator, come down here, that goes into the transmission cooler. I'll have a pipe coming back from the transmission cooler, coming back down here. I've got a valve here. So if I wanted to go through the transmission cooler, I'll lock that off, turn that on. If I wanted to go through the factory transmission cooler without the auxiliary one, I'll lock this one off and turn this one on. Easy. It works.
How hard could it be?
Okay. These are the guards. Cool.
Yeah, so pretty standard as far as like all of our UVP goes, with all the recess bolts and the strength ridges and stuff. It was pretty similar to the 300 in that, like, usually there's heaps of bolt holes you can bolt to, but on this guy in the 300, there's like nothing.
Oh,
So
many.
yeah, so I had to get a bit creative with the way it layers. But yeah, and I went for the big channel the whole way through.
Just so far back.
Yeah, it's like twice as long as most transmission guards. So having the W shape keeps it nice and strong. Especially because like here is,
Well, that's your ramp over area,
Yeah.
so you could potentially be resting a fair bit of weight in the middle here.
I'm real happy with like this little dip down the front because I wanted to keep,
I like that transition.
yeah, I wanted to keep the height, obviously height tough, but the way that straight line goes all the way through, and then so does that one, and then sort of tucks up.
And the whole sort of service port sump guard, we decided not to.
Yeah, just because the drain is way in the middle, and to
it's gonna weaken it too much.
Yeah,
And it's pretty hard to do any sort of ramps and service ports, really.
and if you're doing your oil filter, you got to take the front off anyway. So it was like,
We've clamped onto the crossmember for now, which is sort of what we do with the N70.
70.
But it does mean it makes it harder for us to do any more guards later down the track. But for now, it's actually holding quite well.
Well, yeah, because if we want to do a transfer case guard, this
thing here too. I don't know.
Yeah, and this was a bit painful. Like I had to press upwards with one hand, tighten with the other,
tighten it and clamp
and you
it
need a
all.
third hand to.
There's nothing straight in this crossmember either. It's all lumpy.
No. But there is not, like, there's big holes that we can stick a slot
Yeah, I
nut
think
or.
we can get in and do that.
That's the only
okay.
big change. Other than that's just minor stuff. Like it's a little close in a few spots, and
And the damage you saw on the original bash plates was it's sort of in this area, so you can't see it, but there's some bracing behind there as well, which I think is going to be important.
yeah,
The approach ankle's quite shallow, eh?
Very. Initially, I just had it going to there. Like this was 90 degrees, but yeah, like we said with the factory one, because the wings hang out so far, if you want to cover your camber bolts,
And that's it.
like you take a big hit there, if there's nothing behind it.
Essentially, yeah, you're going to be hitting sort of around the middle there, so it's good to have those sort of transferring back to the crossmember.
It'll be
Still
strong.
almost-
It'll be
for
very
sure.
strong.
I think there was a few little things that we might change here, like in terms of
It doesn't
you
fit.
got your shins.
Doing that.
Your shins
The
are too
exact
big.
same thing.
Check out my new shin guards. Like I said, I think if we extend that a little bit there, that might help a bit of support if it does sort of bend up and fold up.
Yeah. What do you reckon about the thickness of the factory crossmember?
It's a bit of a concern, eh?
Yeah.
There's not much there compared to like the previous models and so forth. And probably wouldn't take too much to bend that. And considering that's what it's being attached to, we might have a look to see if we can do something about that too. Of course, keeping in mind bull bars and recovery points and what we can do there might be a bit tricky, but probably worthwhile. So I'm really liking these protectors for the lower shock there. Those are the stainless steel coach bolts, eh?
Yeah.
Domed head bolts.
So I did look at using those machined up bolt head protectors that we made,
Yeah.
but they just like they hung down real
I
far.
like how it's got that sort of approach and
Yeah, well you can see you've already been smashing up that one.
yeah, I know.
I had it on the ground before it
Already-
full lock and it cleared,
Cleared.
but if you've got more back spacing or you've got a
Yeah, if
smaller
you got a
diameter
different, if you got a
ring,
different offset.
works with these wheels we've got, but we'll need to make sure it works with, most wheels.
So move that bottom edge and come back up this way.
You'd have to angle the fold.
Yeah, you'd have to pull it way out, eh?
Yeah.
And then that might affect clearance.
Do you have the keys on you?
That's super close. It's like,
Super close.
I wonder if we can adjust it.
Yeah, all right. That's a problem.
Well, for now it's not.
Yeah. That's it.
Did you want to wait until we come back from Gari to
Yeah.
see what we think?
Yep.